Hello everyone and Happy New Year. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments. Today we have an extra special video for you. The thumbnail told you the beginning of that specialness. We're covering the top 5 performing decks in high voltage. In addition, we are covering the top 10 performing cards in high voltage and 5 extra ones that are outperforming what we would expect based on how they do on ladder. In addition, we have my best performing day 1 Rocket and Groot deck. That is at the very end of the video, but either today or tomorrow people should be getting Lasher if they've been competing in high voltage, and so I went looking and found the only successful Lasher deck in Infinite. This is literally, and it's a small sample, the only Lasher deck that is performing. Lasher is a 2/2 that you get for completing high voltage. Activate. Afflict an enemy card here with negative power equal to this card's power. That is afflict, not steal, so he's not going to gain that power, he's just giving the negative. So he's fundamentally, if you can activate him and the opponent doesn't have Luke, a 2/4. Luke completely turns this off though. Given that case, if there's not enough Luke in the meta and you can afford to play this card, what you want to be playing him with is strength buffs. Because if you can make him a 2/4, now all of a sudden he's playing for 2/8 and the stats are just really, really worth it at that point. 2/8s are harder to come by. 2/10s are absolutely stellar. So we have a deck that does that, a deck that really works for this card that has had trouble finding a home. And this week is going to be rough in terms of Lasher finding a home because Rocket and Groot is going to be everywhere. That's another card that steals power instead of afflicting, gives negative power to the opponent, which means that Luke Cage is going to be prominent. That's going to weaken both of these cards for the week, but a week later, as things change, we should be back to normal, and this should be a very powerful card. Green Carnage should be a meta staple. In decks just like this, I ran into Untapped, and I checked top 10% Infinite, and there was no Lasher that had good stats and a positive cube rate. Well, at top 50% Infinite, this is the only list. And yes, people have to spend to get Lasher early, but of the people who spent to get Lasher early, this is the only list that actively has worked, that has come along and been really good. And you'll never guess, it is the hand buff archetype that I've been in love with. I had Infinite with Ika's hand buff earlier this season. Lasher fits really well into a hand buff deck. This is a slightly strange one. These decks don't usually run Doom top end. They want to play a bunch of buff cards at the end of the game, but this one does something different in order to make that work. You can end up using multiple cards to buff Lasher here, right? You've got just Agony into Lasher, and now you've paid 3 for 8, which is fine. You played a Gladiator, right? America Chavez hits a Lasher, same concept. You can hit it with Forge. Again, now you're paying 4 for 8, less good. The Hulkbuster makes it 4 for 9. Penny Parker makes it 5 for what is it? 5 for 10, but then you get to move it. Phastos can just incidentally hit it, make it either cost 1 or get +2 strength naturally, and then of course Galacta can give it +3, making it a 5 as well. So there's a lot of different cards in this deck that buff Lasher. There's several cards in addition that really benefit from those buffs, most notably Lasher and Scarlet Spider. Those are the 2 cards that you can double the bonus on when you hit them with these extra cards, so they are the keys to the deck. It is worth noting that there is no Symbiote Spider-Man here, because Symbiote Spider-Man activated on either Lasher or Scarlet Spider will sort of eat their activate, and that won't work. Captain Marvel, by the way, is the 3rd card that really wants to be buffed because it moves to wherever the hell you want it to, which is obviously very strong. You can find me playing this exact list today on stream. It should be live at about 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you're up late, 10 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, I should be playing this very list if you want to come see it. This deck needs 3 high series cards. It needs Zabu, Galacta, and Agony. If you were playing in October and got the first voltage finished, you got Agony. Zabu is important here. You need ways to make those cards cheaper. And Psylocke's a little too expensive for this one. And Galacta is just absolutely stellar and the best pump card in the game. She's what makes pump cards work. If you don't have Penny Parker, you can run a Koye. Lashe can be a Koye or Sinister. Scarlet Spider here can be Gwenpool. I know that's another high series card. Sorry, that's all we got. And Phastos can be Nakia. The other thing you can consider running, and it's not as good here, is Brood. I tend to prefer Sinister in this exact list because it gives you a little bit of extra space on the board, but Brood is pretty damn good here too. This list has a 73% win rate in a very small 22 games. Worth noting that 73% is a lot, right? Like that's a really, really high win rate in 22 games, which suggests that this has at least some legs and deserves to be tested, which I will do again on stream tonight. Turn 1, you want Zabu over Agony if Penny if you have Penny in hand, then you can go Agony into Penny, and then you can ramp into a 4 just fine. Or you can play America Chavez. Turn 2, you can play Penny over Forge, and a 1 if you have Lasher. If you have a 1 and Lasher, like if you have Agony and Lasher for the next turn, Forge into Agony into Lasher is really great. You can also drop Hulkbuster on Agony here. The Hulkbuster will combine with the Agony, and then the next card you play on that Agony will get that buff, which is pretty damn good. Galacta can be Phastos, or you can play a buffed other 4, or you can play 2+1, whatever you want. Turn 4 is Galacta over Lasher and a buff. You can also drop Phastos here with a 1-drop. Turn 5 is the last chance for Lasher / Scarlet Spider, or you will not be able to activate them by playing them on 6. That's generally better than Captain Marvel, which is equal to Lasher with a buff. Turn 6, Captain Marvel in a 2 is usually better than Doom, but Doom is a lot of power, so don't hesitate to play Doom. You can also, don't forget to trigger Lasher and Scarlet Spider. Cool. We're going to look at the top 5 voltage decks, but one last look at this really successful Lasher list. Again, I will be playing this on stream if you're interested at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, or right here on YouTube. In addition, we do 7 days a week of videos on Marvel Snap, very often more than 1 video a day. Please hit that sub button if you're interested in the most Marvel Snap decks. We give you at least 3 brand new decks every single day to help you on your Marvel Snap journey. We offer card replacements. We do giveaways for the season pass. We offer everything. We cover everything in Marvel Snap. So if you're interested in a free Iron Patriot, all you have to do is sub and like. Later this video, I'm going to ask you to make a comment. When you make that comment, all of a sudden, you are eligible to win Iron Patriot. That's it. If you're looking for a free season pass card, this is the place for ya. All right. 81% in 63 games. This is going to be our number 5 list of the best performing high voltage decks. This is a really, really strong list. This is the only list with any reasonable sample of games that's above 80% win rate in high voltage, which is why we're starting with it, which is why it's ranked 5 here. 80% is completely insane. That's winning 4 out of every 5 games, right? 4 out of every 5 games over 60 is a freaking lot. So this is a stellar list. I want to call out a couple of the notable things. Wiccan, you were going to see in a couple of these lists. Wiccan and Galacta are absolutely excellent, excellent, excellent high voltage cards. Wiccan giving you extra energy, even if it's on the second turn, is great. And this does have early game. So if you need to play like a Negasonic or a Juggernaut early or Zemo early, you can get that. Galacta is also really great in voltage because you can play Galacta even on the last turn and then play another card with it and get that buff, which is going to make Galacta at base a 9 power card. We've got Zemo, who very often is going to grab an opposing Ebony Maw, which turns him into a 3/12. If it grabs a Hydra Bob, it's a 3/10. If it grabs anything else, pure bonus. Mirage gives you their card, but bonus. Often that's, again, a 1/9 Ebony Maw, 1/7 Hydra Bob. Echo remains invisible and absolutely shuts down all the voltage things. It's really easy to get priority. You should eat those decks between Juggernaut, Negasonic, Red Guardian, and Echo, and then you just have Red Hulk as the big thing you do while Shang-Chi cleans up the mess. This is a very powerful list that works together way better than a lot of more expensive voltage decks and is thus more successful over a sample of games. When we up the sample to under 100 games, but still a high win rate, this Scar list has a 75% win rate. I'm a little surprised not to see Shuri here, but not shocked. A lot of what this list has going for it is a lot of the Zola Panther stuff that you see all over is absolutely wrecked by Cosmo, Armor, and Arrow. So you have those 3 cards to wreck it. Shadow King helps too. There's a lot. Shadow King will also stop opposing blobs, and then you just grow yourself a nice big board. You grow yourself a nice big board that, thanks to the Armor, Cosmo, Arrow, your opponent has a really hard time interacting with. Once that board is nice and big, you should be able to win the game Marvel Snap. I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm a little surprised Typhoid Mary is here. Typhoid Mary giving -2 to cards in her lane is a hit, right? If that turns your Zabu into a nothing, it makes your other cards not make Scar cheaper, which is rough. But it is a very powerful card. It is super effective. One card I do want to call out outside of Surtur, which, by the way, I called that Surtur was going to be amazing in this mode day 1 of this reset. If you check the thumbnail, I was like, oh my god, Surtur is going to be crazy. It's going to be the new card that came out since last voltage that's going to be the best. So if you end up passing turn 1 and it's like 3 energy, you just didn't draw well, you will then have a 3-cost She-Hulk, and then you will very likely be able to play like a Tuma and She-Hulk the next turn, which is very powerful. So stuff like that offers this deck a lot of leeway. The free Scar at the end of the game is awesome. I'm a little surprised not to see Blob here, not to see Shuri here, but outside of that, this is just a big old list that says I've got big idiots beat me, and it's really, really, really successful. You're going to see that the cards that go in this list have been quite successful in Voltage overall when we get to cards individually. Now, over 100 games, this is our last 70% win rate deck. This is a Wiccan Gore list. This one is just straight up, almost exactly, an old list that Toxic Soul King used to play. It is an alteration on that Toxic Soul King list where it pulls out Goliath and puts in Gore and says, I've still got the same Surtur thing, I've still got the same Wiccan thing. It's a deck running a real curve. It's worth noting that most of these have looked sort of like real decks, just a little more top end, right? A little less bottom end, a little more top end, but like real decks. The most successful Voltage decks seem to be doing this. You'll also note that this one only runs one tech card, Shang-Chi, although Arrow is a pseudo tech card. Everything else this list is doing is just saying, I've got more stuff than you, and that stuff can make it really hard to beat me. The opponent's playing Negasonic, opponent's playing Red Guardian. They're not hitting anything in this list, right? Just remember to play your Arrow down or your Cable down first, and then Cable grabs their big, strong things that you're able to buff. Surtur is a big old scaler here. This is a very, very cool list. Speed is the one card here that I'm a little surprised by. It's really hard to spend all your energy in this mode, but if any deck can do it, it's the one running Quicksilver, Maria Hill, Mirage, Cable, and Hawkeye, right? This one is saying I'm going to get that Wiccan by turn 2 as much as possible, and I'm going to win. 70% in 120 games is 100% legit. Our second to last list, our number 2 list, is our pure budget list. This is Series 3 and lower. And hey, I don't know if you realize this, but this is barely even Series 3. The only Series 3 cards here are Echo, Patriot, and Ultron. Everything else is Series 2 or lower. I am, again, surprised not to see Iron Man here, but Iron Man opens you up to Red Guardian bullshit. And why deal with Red Guardian bullshit if you don't have to? You fill the board with Ultron. Because you have so much extra energy, you can often get that Patriot Onslaught nonsense going. That Onslaught also makes the Ultron bots with Blue Marvel and Khazar silly. And if you can get any combination thereof of those cards, you just win. This is the second season in a row, or second Voltage in a row, that Abomination has shown up in a top Voltage list. We should probably honestly be looking at Abomination in regular Patriot lists more often. The 11 power for 5 is just a lot. The 11 or 12 power for 5 is just a lot, and offers you a way to win games that other things don't. Cosmo is amazing here. Scarlet Witch messing with opponents is amazing here as ways to win. But 64% in 310 games. This is the second most winning in a large sample list, but it's nothing compared to our number 1 list, which is Surfer. Just Surfer, right? 1,200 games and a 65% win rate. This is a straight up regular ass Surfer list that says I go way too tall. If you can get Galacta or Gwenpool early, you make yourselves things like Broods and Absorbments that are just unbeatably big. Surfer adds a buff. You can make yourself unaccountably large Shaws. Zabu says you can play, if you get Zabu early, you can play way too many cards at the end of the game. Juggernaut lets you win with a low commitment. Hope gives you extra energy on top of everything. This is a shockingly effective list in this mode. It doesn't always complete the missions best because you want extra like 5s and 6s to complete various missions. But if you just want to win, a 65% win rate in 1,200 games is stellar. Also, just so you know, on Marvel Snap Zone, this list on ladder has like a 57% win rate. The stats on this deck are through the roof. This is where you can go, and it's got like a million replaceable cards. As long as you have Galacta and Shaw, you should be able to play a list that's fairly similar to this in Voltage to great effect. It is so strong, and in 1,200 games, just unreal. Surfer is completely freaking legit in this mode. All right, our season pass question before we get to the top 10 cards. What are your New Year's resolutions? What are you hoping for in the new year? Also, a reminder, check out that stream tonight, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, and let's do top 10 cards. Hey, that's our Go Live stream. Hopefully you like it. All right. Next. Turn by turn and snapping. So, oh, wait, what the fuck? What's that doing here? Ignore that. That's actually from a regular slideshow that I didn't delete. My bad. All right, so surprises outside the top 10. Coming in the B range with a really high win rate is Agatha Harkness. Agatha is very good. She only takes control of one turn here. She's almost always going to be able to play herself on turn 2 and thus be very powerful. She says, I see more of my deck and thus I'm more likely to win. That is obviously huge for this style of list. Agatha's been great in Voltage. Who would have thought it? Not me. Next up, we have Emperor Hulkling. Emperor Hulkling is largely considered a bad card, although he has been becoming better and better as top players like Butt have started putting him in things. But when you get him out early, he's insane, right? There's a lot of sixes that break the game when they're played early. Hulkling says, good luck playing around them. It should be very strong. Shocking me is Shocker, because even in the highest ranked Patriot decks, we don't have Shocker, which means that some lower ranked Patriot decks and some evolutionary are making really good use of Shocker and his ability to either give -1 cost or be a 2/5 in Patriot. And that's genuinely, this is the card that most surprised me. Makkari has been great. I've long been a Makkari stan since she came out as a 3/4. I said she was better than people thought. She's really good in Moon Girl list. She's really good in Surfer list. Just getting an extra 3/4 that turns into a 3/6 or more is really strong. Yes, she can occasionally lose you games by going to the wrong place, but she's currently in my favorite list in the game, and she's been doing really well in Voltage as well, even if in a low sample. And we finish up with Rockslide, and this one shocked me because Darkhawk is not doing well, but Rockslide is doing absolutely stellar. Uh, Rockslide saying you draw 2 cards a turn. If I can play you on turn 1 or 2, you're very likely to just lose a draw. In a limited draw mode, that's game winning. Rockslide is a really, really, really disruptive piece, much the same way Zemo or like Negasonic is, except it's affecting hand, not board, and thus it's very powerful. Cool. Our tied for number 10 high voltage card is Cull. This would technically be 11 because it's less played than the actual number 10 deck, but it is a very, very strong card in the mode. There's a lot of Hydra Bob in the mode. There's a lot of whatchamacallit. There's a lot of Hydra Bob and there's a lot of Ebony Maw. You can just play Cull and Ebony Maw for 5 and then you played 5/17. That's a ton of stats for the cost. Cull Obsidian has been doing great, which is a little bit of a surprise given that he's one of the harder 10s to play overall because of his requirement of a 1. But still, great stats for Cull. Great stats with an even better play rate than Cull Obsidian are the other number 10 card, Ultron. Ultron is absolutely dominating this mode. It turns out getting if you play Ultron and you have Patriot out, getting 16 power in lane is still awful powerful, especially as people are trying to like Negasonic off lanes and Juggernaut off lanes. You just sort of go around all that bullshit with Ultron, and you're able to steal a lot of wins that way. Ultron is just one of the best cards in Snap, and we often forget it. He probably belongs as a top end in more stuff, and Voltage is a really, really great home for him. We're going to see more Patriot-based cards going forward, but first we've got another Surtur-based card along with Cull Obsidian. Typhoid Mary is rank 9, or tied for rank 8. It says Rocket and Groot there. Ignore that. Typhoid Mary is ongoing. Your other cards here have -2 power, right? So you can't. So I thought she was going to be terrible in this mode. I was wrong. Typhoid Mary has been the one of the best performing 10s in the whole game in that deck in particular. Huge. Shuri Sauron is also a top performer, and she's really great in those. So she's in 2 great decks, the Scar Idiots deck and the Shuri Sauron decks, and she's performing amazingly in both. Number 8, I told you we'd see more Patriot. Patriot has been stellar in this mode. He's the cheapest option. If you are early in Series 3 and you have Patriot, not Mystique, but you have Ultron, you have a deck. Right? And as long as you have that deck, you should be capable of competing in this mode with basically everyone. You should be able to win a lot of games. And winning games isn't the most important. I'd like a 70% win rate my first day. And then I was just like, I don't care. I'm just going to finish dailies as fast as possible in the mode. So I play whatever deck finishes my dailies best. But Patriot is stellar if you want to win in the mode. Just Patriot and Ultron is a ton of power, right? That is 11 for, I don't know. God, 16, 32, and for 41 power, 11 for 41 power. You're not getting that rate anywhere else, right? You get a 620, but here you're getting and then you get you can get usually like 30 power from that, right? The only thing that competes is Zola and Panther, I think, and in that case, what fundamentally happens is everyone's playing around that. No one's playing around this. Tied for rank 4 are the next series of cards. Strong Guy. Strong Guy isn't exactly one deck, but he is stellar in that list. Strong Guy has been absolutely crushing in the discard list. The discard list that I've been playing, the one that runs Malekith and Gambit and doesn't go all in on Gambit, it runs Grandmaster. That list that I featured day one in my big video. It's also the list that I climbed into the top 100 with the first time. Discard's in a great place. Strong Guy is in the best discard list right now. He's incredibly strong and definitely worth playing. Number 6 is genuinely shocking to me. It is Quake. Quake is the highest ranked just out of the meta card, although players like Zombies Go Nom Nom have been playing Quake in their regular decks right now. So Quake is absolutely stellar at shocking opponents and messing with them in ways that they don't expect. I would not expect that to matter in Voltage as much with so many of the bad locations taken away, but apparently Quake is still dominating the Voltage meta. In 5 is Malekith, who combos with Strong Guy in a not exactly shocking move. In that discard list, he's also in a lot of Ajax lists. Those are the two main homes because those Ajax lists run anti-venom. And then like you just have all these little combos. You want to draw more towards stuff. Drawing an extra card in Voltage is very, very strong in that when you get that extra card draw, you're more likely to see the important stuff in your deck, the big stuff in your deck that wins the game. Plus you can grab a Shadow King, a Juggernaut, a Red Guardian, etc. And he's amazing in that discard list. Again, that discard list is totally, totally legit in Voltage as just a regular old deck you can play, as Malekith has shown us. The actual number 4 card, tied for rank 4, but still the most played of them, is Baron Zemo. Zemo's seen more play than Malekith, I assume because Zemo's a season pass card last April, I believe. April or May. Zemo is stellar, right? He just plays for a ton of power. Most of the time, you're getting at least 310 in power with him, but you get lucky fairly often. You get a Juggernaut that wins you the game. You get a Negasonic that wins you the game. So he either plays for a lot of stats or straight up wins you the game while also being cheap and on curve. This mode is Zemo's like ideal mode. The other card that reminds me of Zemo that I haven't seen this Voltage, but I loved last Voltage, is Havoc. But Zemo apparently has just a better win rate and better overall stats than basically everything in this mode, which is amazing. Props to Baron Zemo for like finding his way into both the mainstream meta and this meta. Not tied at all in number 3 is Sebastian Shaw, which is not entirely surprising. When Surfer decks see Shaw, they can go over the top of things. We saw a Surfer deck being the most played deck. Apparently, Shaw is the key card to that list of winning. It is the winningest card in that list, and thus Shaw is at the top of the meta. Shaw has really found his place with Galacta. Since Galacta came out, Shaw has, like, Gwenpool with Shaw was great, right? But it's hard to guarantee that Shaw gets hit. Galacta is no challenge. I just get to play Shaw, and he's a 3/9. Right, like immediately, and then he's a 3/14 with Surfer, and that's amazing. That's amazing. You get so much benefit out of just having Shaw in these decks that he's incredible and ends up rank 3. In rank 2, I told you so, Surtur. We already talked about Surtur. Scaling threats. These two are big scaling threats, are the things to do. You want something to do on that first turn so your opponent doesn't get too far ahead. You're able to claim priority with these cards. You're able to get a lot of stuff going, and thus Surtur is dominating this mode. In the number 1 spot, we have Hydra Bob. Hydra Bob is a blank 1/5. After each turn this moves if a player snaps, there are no snaps in high voltage. So Hydra Bob is a 1/5. That's amazing stats. Why is this better than Ebony Maw? Well, 2 reasons. One, everyone has Ebony Maw, so a lot of people that don't have Hydra Bob are playing Ebony Maw. Fewer people, and thus generally higher CL people, are playing Hydra Bob, thus he will have better stats. The other thing is, fairly often I see people playing Ebony Maw on turn 2. And if you're playing Ebony Maw on turn 2, you're opening yourself up for bullshit. Hydra Bob says, no bullshit, I'm a 1/5. You can play me on turn 1 if you want, and then you've got Prio and all this extra power. Just through the roof stats. Everyone runs copycat in this mode. We just saw Zemo as a 3/5. This is 1/3 of the cost of those cards for the same stats, and ultimately stats are what win in Marvel Snap, as Hydra Bob is the best card in this mode and one of the very best cards in the game. Go get Hydra Bob, y'all. At this point, it's just too late. It is worth noting, however. Ready? This is a Series 5 card that many people don't have. Season Pass card, Season Pass card, Season Pass card. Cool? So the best cards right now are High Series, but if you buy the Season Pass, you are able to compete at the top level of Marvel Snap. You should be buying that Season Pass. They make sure these cards are meta, they stay meta forever, and they change how you play the game. If you'd like to see gameplay for these decks outside of checking me out, please check out the stream team. Tonight, around the same time I'm live, but he'll go way longer. GamingwithFlashX will be streaming, so make sure you check out his stream. Rocket and Groot is the new card that released today. I made sure I waited to play and test out this card before I decided to release this video. Rocket and Groot is a 3/3. Series 5, 6,000 tokens. You can move this once. After your opponent plays a card here, steal 1 power from it. I will have top player thoughts about Rocket and Groot tomorrow, but immediately this card feels incredibly strong. A 2 power swing whenever an opponent plays in that location is absolutely huge. I've been playing him with Nebula in the list, you'll see, and that combination is completely insane. Then, once they've sort of given up on that lane, you've gotten big and really hard to beat, you can move him and threaten another lane. Rocket and Groot is so strong. Wish's animation, much like Doom, was a little bit faster, but it is an incredibly strong card. This is one of the best 3-drops in Marvel Snap right now, period, bar none. All right, this is the deck that I played with Rocket and Groot today. I will play more decks tonight, but the first Rocket and Groot deck is this from Mr. ELA, who decided to shove Rocket and Groot in a Doom deck because, well, controlling where opponents play in these decks is extraordinarily important. This one says Rocket and Groot can give me an alternate win condition, can help me win games, especially if it gets hit with like Iron Lad, or you get it out on 3 and then you play Doom in ways that other cards can't, and it's thus extremely powerful at keeping balance in the game. I asked ELA, and ELA has Twitter. It's Mr. E 3 spaces LA. He told me to prop Husky Puppies. Husky Puppies is his friend and the person he watches stream most, so twitch.tv/Husky Puppies. The only high series cards you actually need for this list is Doom 2099. Nebula and Hydra Bob can be Zabu, Nightcrawler, or Iceman. Jeff can be a 1 or Medusa. Red Guardian, or White Widow is actually seemingly kind of hilarious with this card, fair warning. Red Guardian can be Rogue. Rocket and Groot can be Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Iron Lad can be Jubilee, and Legion can be Vision or Claw. I'm partial to Claw. Cool. All right, so this has been absolutely kicking butt. I was winning with it. Roram went 7-0 with it immediately before losing a game, and then being 7-1, and then winning some more. I didn't keep track of stats after that, but this list is absolutely stellar. If you've got Doom 2099 and Rocket, and you're looking for a list, this is it. Play it. Turn 1, you want Nebula over Bob. Turn 2, you want Psylocke over Nebula over Jeff over Bob. Turn 3, you want Doom if you can, or Lad if you can, because Lad to hit Doom is incredible. And if not, you play Rocket and Groot. Turn 4, Doom or Lad. You can also play Red Guardian or Rocket and Groot. Now, sometimes they've played a card that you want a Red Guardian at this point, sometimes they haven't. If they haven't, you just drop Rocket and Groot just fine, right? Like, you're totally fine just playing Rocket and Groot at that point. Turn 5 is Sandman or Legion. Sandman's incredible. For whatever reason, a lot of people are playing Sarah right now. I keep getting snapped on Sarah's and playing Sandman and then getting free cubes. Seems nice. And then turn 6 is Doom or Magneto. Magneto's move is really, really great for the mirror. Doom offers you enough power to be able to compete in power with most other lists. This is one of the best lists in Marvel Snap, and thus you should play it. I don't know what else to say. This is really stellar. This is, I think, about as good as a Doom 2099 list has felt. This goes right there with the Derek Doom 2099 list that you might know as the Lambie list, but it's Derek's list, the one that runs Galacta. This goes right there with the safety list, the Patriot Doom 2099 list. This is one of the best Doom 2099 lists, and Rocket and Groot in it felt stellar. Rocket and Groot is going to be in a lot of decks. If you are interested in checking out our Patreon here in the new year, we will have a big tournament coming, and you got to be on the $2 tier to participate. So make sure you check out patreon.com/snapjudgments if you are interested. I'm going to say thank you to a bunch of people relatively quickly. Thank you to Abigail Houston, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, David G. Wingfield, Dirty Casual, Danton, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, Inc., I Am Frostman, Je Navali, Thinking Poker, YOLO Potato, Prime Brian, excuse me, Prime Brian, Ryan Burke, and Ryan Wood, Tyne, Irtixley, Koirei, Kazushi, and Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Hollowed, Quid Pro Joe, Snap This Is Joe, Fartner, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Ratkovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of The Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra Speed, Skippy G, Rhyming Friends, Jessica Gamble, Hi Jess, Diamond Echoes to One Snap Judgment League Season 1, The King of Bros, Bruh, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kepsi Hoda, Luna Chris, Corwin, John Q, Jim McHugh, Glam, Colonel Forbin, Yistout, 8th, Sage, Mod, Supreme Models, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B. JD Metalino's gone right now, but we got a new guy. Hi, OnlyFox, or new person. Hi, OnlyFox. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Hoot, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, No Freaking Flex, Oculars, Craig Sterry, BG, Zodrex, the King of Canada, Dan Man, Falcon, Jonesy, Two Ties, Lauren Rodevs, the Pirate King Tuccrr, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for. I hope you have a really, really happy New Year's Day. I hope you get to relax for the day and have something really good happen to you in the coming year. Hit that sub button, check out some more videos if you're so inclined. Peace.